Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rain Radio, where we have juicy conversations that lead to powerful transformations. We are your hosts. I'm Naomi Calderon.
And I'm Lila Sage, and today we are talking about vibrations and how high vibe doesn't necessarily mean Energizer Bunny. So, I'm really excited about this conversation in case you can't tell. Grab your drink and your journal, put on your crown, and let's chat. What are you drinking today, ma'am?
I decided to get exciting again. We're doing a little bit of ginger honey lemon tea, and it's fabulous.
I'm jealous. I actually realized when I asked you that question that my cup is empty, but I'm about to put some water in it. I know.
Excellent.
Super exciting stuff.
It is.
It is necessary stuff.
It is. Seriously. Everybody says milk, it does a body good, but sorry. Gotta go for water.
Yeah, and lemon ginger. Actually, no, I'll say that. Lemon ginger tea is on my list for today. Once we're done with this call. That's happening. I have a ginger in the fridge.
And I'm super stoked. The honey comes from a friend of mine whose husband is a beekeeper, so I get spoiled a little bit.
I'm jealous.
I know.
My honey is local and raw, but I don't know the beekeepers. I would like to know the beekeepers.
Also a delicious option. So, talk to me. What is this crazy talk about high vibe doesn't have to be Energizer Bunny? I thought high vibe means that you're always bouncing off the walls.
One would think that if they know me at all. However, no. Right now, actually, I'm really happy. And I really want a nap. And I'm probably just, okay, so let me define nap for you people who are new to me. Anything less than 90 minutes is not a nap. It's super insufficient. I'm probably going to curl up in the corner of my sofa and snooze for about 30 minutes after this conversation because then I get to go play the day job again. And it would seem that there's no sovereignty in that whatsoever because what I really desire is a nap. However, I'm really happy. Sleep deprived and all. What caused me to be sleep deprived is really joy inducing. And I have the best landlord in the world right now. And we're having this conversation. So there's lots of things to be happy about. The desire for a nap is just not dominating my energy or my vibe.
So does happy equal high vibe?
To me, it does.
Okay. So there we are with our whole defined stuff again, right? What's
because I was going to say sometime. Well, okay, so there is high vibe and then there's being in the flow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Say more about that.
There's all this Abraham in my head right now. So, sometimes I'm in the flow, and, Sunday and Monday, being in the flow meant rage cleaning.
Oh, well, all right, then.
And generally being unpleasant. But, that's where my energy was. And I could have fought with it. I don't think it was high vibe. I don't think that anger is high on the vibrational scale at all. However, that is where I was in my humanness early this week, and that was the flow, and I followed it, to my happy place. But that's different than being high vibe. I think if I was going for high vibe, then I would have been going for shifting out of that anger. And what I did instead was worked through it.
Well, and I think that's a brilliant piece. How you said you did the rage cleaning, you let things flow, and it led you to your happy place.
Mhm.
I think sometimes it's like, oh, you're chapping my buzz. You're being so low vibe. I can't be around you. And sometimes that's a voice in our own heads, not somebody actually talking to us. But there's this idea that, oh, you can never be angry. You can never be sad. You can never be depressed. You can never be any of those things because they're not high vibe and that's bad. And so instead of doing what you did, which is allowing your feelings to be what they were, working through them in whatever way you needed to, which was apparently cleaning. So next time you feel that, if you want to come over to my house, I'd be more than happy to open the door. But you didn't try to ignore them. You didn't try to shove them down. You didn't try to put lipstick on a pig and make them something they weren't.
Nope.
And just run around going, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, and happy, when you're inside going, fuck the world, I'm burning down the village, you know?
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like if you can recognize that maybe you're low vibe without putting a bunch of shame, blame, and guilt on that.
Mhm.
So maybe it's less about labeling it low vibe and just this is the space I'm in.
Mhm.
I'm crunchy right now. I'm crabby. I'm pissy. I'm whatever word you use. And then can you be okay with it for a minute?
Mhm.
It sounds like
I was a terrible person. It was great. My boys were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I am grouchy." And they were like, "We'll be in our bedroom. You won't need us." Good. I will be cleaning the kitchen and doing the laundry. Yeah. It was wonderful.
Well, and how awesome is it that they know, okay, Ma just needs her space right now for a minute.
We are really real.
Mhm.
So, my daughter texted me and said, if it seems like I'm in a bad mood, I am. And if the police come looking for me because I've committed homicide, hide me.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I was like, sucks that you're having a bad day, but now you've made me an accessory, so I'm turning you in. I can't do prison. But, you know, even when they were younger, so 5 years ago, one of my best friends decided that Earth was not his favorite place to be anymore, and he transitioned. And I just walked around crying, like just walked around the house, tears streaming down my face. And Lillian had a friend over, and I opened their bedroom door, and I said something to them. And then as I'm closing it, her friend leans over and goes, I think your mom's crying. And Lillian goes, oh, yeah, her friend died. She's really sad. And then just, like, went back to whatever she was doing. Like, yeah, we have feelings. My mom's having a few of them right now.
And how awesome is that?
Yeah, it was pretty deliberate on my part.
I mean, yeah, not awesome that your friend died, not that part. But yeah, the fact that you were letting the feelings out, that you were very okay with them seeing you having feelings. I think I've only, oh, okay, so he's no longer on this plane. I think I only saw my father cry twice.
Mm-hmm.
And that was once when my uncle died, and it was when he was in the hospital dying. Those are the only two times. And he died when I was 24. So in 24 years, twice I saw that man cry.
Being a mom of people who identify as male, it was really important to me that they are whole people.
Mm-hmm.
This might get a lot of fun comments, but I'm going there. a lot of men in our American society think that it's only safe to have like two feelings or two modes. Like I'm like jolly, happy go lucky, or I can have rage. And like sadness is weak, or really anything that's not those two modes of operation is like not manly. And I've had some very fun conversations with people because my children have ranges of emotion. Particularly that like, oh, your son is crying because he's frustrated. Somehow that makes him less masculine. Like, no, it's just saving you from a homicide attempt by Jack because it's just how he's getting his rage out right now. The Sagittarius thing, leave him alone, he'll be fine.
Well, and not to mention these people who seem to think that they don't have that range of emotions, guess what? You do. You just don't know how to express them, so instead they come out in other ways. Oh, you have diabetes. Oh, you've got liver issues. Oh, your pancreas is flipping you off right now. Oh, your knees hurt. Oh, your hips are locked up. Oh, your back is bothering you. Oh, your neck keeps going out. Really? You have carpal tunnel. Go figure.
Exactly. Yep.
So you just had a cascade of autoimmune diseases? Curious, isn't it?
Yeah. You're not angry and shutting things down, and none of that.
So these people still have these ranges of emotions. They don't know how to identify them, and they don't know how to express them. They were never taught, and they were never given permission. It was labeled bad, wrong, weak, girly, whatever. I mean, big girls don't cry. I mean, come on now.
Oh my gosh, right?
What are the messages we grew up with? And yes, that probably just dated me.
I'll cry if I want to.
Well, right, there's that too. So yeah, totally mixed messages. So
I endeavored to keep the shame, blame, and guilt about being a whole human with full ranges of emotions out of our experience. And I don't know how we tumbled down this rabbit hole, but I think it's a very helpful rabbit hole to be tumbling down.
It is. Well, and it ties into the vibe conversation, because to be high vibe, my personal belief, so this is not necessarily the views of the management, yada, 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 whatever, although knowing who the management is, probably, it doesn't mean that you always have to be, and you can't see what I'm doing, but I'll pretend you can. It's like there's a scale. If we made up the scale being, low vibe, like the lowest of low vibes is 0 and the highest of high vibes is a 10, it doesn't mean that you will always be operating at a 9 and a 10. What you strive to be the majority of the time, fantastic. But to say I'll never be sad, to say I'll never be depressed, I just wish you all the luck with your hormones. Never let those get out of balance, because otherwise, let me tell you, you will be below that 5 line.
For sure.
But are you willing to stay there? That's, I think, the bigger thing. If you do, like, Lila, what you're talking about that you did, okay, you were like, I'm grumpy, I'm crabby, I'm, I look like crap in orange, so I refuse to kill someone, but I'm really close. So stay out of my way because I'm about to throw laundry and play the kitchen. You allowed yourself to feel what you were feeling, right? I know. It's like if I put this spatula and I threw it sideways hard enough. Yeah. Great. My friend calls that rage that shows up where you want to rip the ears off bunnies, but
yes. That's only the bunnies were children.
Yeah. See? The bunnies were smart enough to go to their room. But you weren't willing to stay there for days on end, but you were willing to give yourself the space and the permission, which this is where I think that whole sovereignty conversation comes in. Giving yourself the permission to feel what you feel. Not guilting yourself for it, not blaming yourself for it, not labeling it as being bad or wrong or low vibe or any of the other things. It's just how you felt. acknowledging it, embracing it, and allowing it to flow through and out.
Yeah.
That's
and I really
life on your terms.
It really is. And I really was willing to stay there, although it was really funny because I did text my favorite health coach and go, could the liver cleanse be why I'm, like, wanting to kill all the people? And you were like, it's not supposed to, but your body is weird, so, not her exact words, y'all. But, I mean, I was wondering why I was homicidal, but I was perfectly fine being homicidal. It helped I love my therapist so much because without telling you guys all of my personal information, I've been through a tremendous amount in the last month and 2 days. Just the last month and 2 days. We won't add in the 6 weeks before that. And so it was like, oh, yeah. But even without all of this, like, insight, because I didn't get that insight till halfway through Monday, even without all of the insight and all of the, like, backstory, I was just like, this is where I am right now. And what would feel good in the moment? And what would feel good in the moment seems like, oh, well, I would want to put on, like, my better mood music playlist, and I would maybe want to, like, dance or take myself for a walk or do some self-care. No, I want to put on the, like, Jesus Take the Wheel gospel music, and I want to scrub the kitchen because my kitchen's a mess, and having it not be a mess is what's going to make me feel better. Not that I actually wanted to clean it. That's where the rage part of the rage cleaning came from. I wasn't rage cleaning because I wanted to clean. I was rage cleaning because my kitchen was a mess. Having it not be a mess would make me feel better. So, yeah, I was willing to be as grumpy for as long as I needed to be grumpy. And I also think that helped me be grumpy for a shorter period of time. But I wasn't like, oh, let me go rage clean so that I can feel better. I was just like, I'm angry and I'm going to clean because part of, like, what's adding to me feeling like crap is the fact that my kitchen looks like crap. So, yeah, it was a fun
and
holiday.
I think that willingness to, one of the coaches I used to follow, well, I do still occasionally, but met her years ago, like, I don't know, 8 years ago, something like that. She used to always say, sometimes you got to sit in your shit. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did. You're like, I'm angry. I'm beyond annoyed. I'm angry. If you're going to do something called rage cleaning, you're pretty mad, you know. And I'm willing to be here.
I'm putting you in the dishwasher or in a drawer.
Better run fast. I might be short, but I'm quick. But you were willing to sit in it, not be like, fine, I'll set the timer. Sometimes my lovely eyesight will do that. Okay, you've got 2 more minutes to bitch, and then you're done. And I'm like, oh, I will bitch as long as I'm a bitch. You just sit and watch me. You know, if I'm really in it. To be ready to be done with it, but it's all the time myself. I need to call that vibe ladder and go on a higher vibe. Sometimes that is just masking what's really going on. I love your comment about being in the flow of it. And recognizing high vibe, because part of what started this is high vibe doesn't have to be high energy. Like, I don't feel the vibe today, but I can tell you being sore from the bottom of my ribcage to pretty much to the top of my head, because, yeah, my jaw is sore, too. I took a little spill yesterday, because apparently not everyone on the planet knows how to use a mop. and we don't bother putting out a wet floor sign. That can spell disaster for people who come through your door. And I feel like I got done with about 3 days of getting my ass kicked around the gym by a really buff personal trainer and didn't stretch before and didn't stretch after. Yeah, some low energy. It's taking a while for effort to move off the couch. I gotta go pick up my laptop. Ooh, okay, give me a minute, And yet, I don't feel the vibe. I've had other days where it's like I got all this weird, crazy, I can't sit still energy. I can tell you my vibe's been low. So I think sometimes isn't it? Usually that's unchecked prep that just has the adrenaline pumping and the emotions being ignored, so it shows up as nervous energy.
Gotcha.
And yeah, there was a conversation I was in not too long ago. There's a couple of individuals I know who are high energy. Like, whoa, dude, I don't know what you took, but woo. And people automatically assume that person is always up. They automatically assume that person is always high vibe because they're always high energy. And it has been my experience that is not always true. Now that person can't sit still, serious ants in their pants, yet their vibe isn't necessarily always high. So I think sometimes we have to look at what do we think high vibe actually means.
That brings up another example.
Please, yes.
Whenever I tell people who knew me before children that I was depressed for a decade and a half, they're like, what? What? Because I keep a smile on my face. It's kind of like a defense mechanism. It's a default setting. And so you would assume that this smiling person who is always friendly and engaging would be joyful and high vibe. I woke up every day hating the fact that I woke up, which is not on the joy end of the vibrational scale.
No, it's below the line for sure.
It's a little closer to despair. So yeah, that's another example of how energy does not necessarily equate to vibration, because I was giving off the energy of someone who was happy, but I wasn't.
Is there something else you need to say about that?
I'm not sure. That could be like a whole master class. Is there something in particular?
Not just as you were talking about that, the little knot that I get in my throat that usually is sort of my sign that something else needs to be said. It showed up.
Oh. So now I'm curious.
Yeah, I think depression is an interesting, and I think you're right. I think that could be a whole nother master class. That's an interesting one because, yes, if we're looking at the whole vibration, depression is low on the vibration scale. We're not saying people who are depressed are bad. Please hear me now. Been there, done that, played that game. Mine usually is in relation to hormones being out of balance. That's what tends to fuel mine.
Naomi's not bad when she's depressed.
She's not what?
I said, you're not bad when you're depressed. You're bad when you're raging.
Oh, yeah, I'm bad when I'm raging. Yeah, forget it. Yeah, run. Depressed, though? No, you'll just find me a blubbering mess a lot. Or, like today I can't move because I'm sore and it's making me really tired and I kind of want a Lila's nap. Like for me, a nap is a half an hour. So Lila and I have defined naps very differently. But I might need a Lila nap today. But that's different from the depression. I don't want to crawl out from under the covers. I need a nap, even though I just woke up 5 minutes ago. It's different. So there was a lack of energy, but there was also a low vibe. But yes, high functioning, because the minute I'd leave the house, sure enough, smile on my face, had lots of friends, everything was great. And there's, when I look at it from a living life on your terms, those were my terms at the time because I chose that. But when I think living life on my terms now, it looks a lot more like what you've described, where you were sad your friend died, so you walked around your house crying very openly and were okay with the fact that you were displaying emotion. Living life on my terms now looks a lot more like giving myself the permission to take today slower if I need to, and to be okay with the fact that my energy's a little lower. Doesn't mean my vibe is.
Yes.
Giving ourselves permission, I think, is to feel what we're feeling and be, as you said earlier, in the flow to move through it. Recognizing, and what's come through in all of this for me is that, and stop judging ourselves for this shit. Oh, I don't want to be around people who are low vibe. Well,
that's pretty low vibe of you.
Right. Okay, so it's not just me thinking that. And I understand you are most like the 5 people you're hanging around the most. If you're hanging around people who are always operating in this low vibe arena with no desire to ever leave that arena, that might not be who you want to hang out with if you're struggling to keep your own vibe up.
Right.
But to think we don't run and play in that whole range of vibration, it's just like with emotions. We have the full spectrum. But are we planning to stay there? Or are we willing to work through whatever has us there and allow ourselves to be in that flow so that we then can climb that vibrational ladder, if you will? Judgy pants. Judgy pants are low vibe.
Except when they're not.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this. All right, tell.
We have heard me sitting on my unicorn in regards to my ex-husband. There's okay, that might be low vibe, but it feels good when it happens. This is like that flow piece. So I was so angry with him. There was a cemetery behind my apartment at the time. I could have added a plot and been perfectly fine with that, and sorry, kids. And so I called a friend and, one of my spiritual buddies, and I was just like, I really just want to cuss him out. And she was like, well, go cuss him out. She was like, first of all, it's funny. The thought of you cussing is hilarious. The thought of you, yelling and screaming at anybody is the most amusing thing I've ever thought of. I'm 5'3", y'all. I'm not very threatening. Except to my ex-husband sometimes, apparently. So, I called her hoping that she would, talk me back off the ledge. And she was just like, oh, no, here, let me tip you over. And so I got off the phone with her, and I was like, oh, let me find somebody else to put me in a positive mood. And finally, I was just like, no, I'm just going to go scream at him. And I did. It was great. It was a wonderful release. And, there's more to it than that. Don't just go cussing people out, or do. But in the end, we had like a civil conversation once I stopped screaming. And we got off the phone, and he was like, that was probably the best conversation we've ever had. He was perfectly fine with getting screamed at for the first 2/3 of the conversation. It led us to a fruitful place. But had I continued to try to get my emotions to do something other than what they want it to do, it might have worked if I had positively worked through them, but I was really just trying to like pass happy and collect my $200. Like I was not trying to process those emotions at all in a real way.
Right.
So I think
that being in the flow part.
Yeah, I think sometimes like you don't have the space or the wherewithal to do the processing, and then you need to just be where you are with the emotions, like rage clean or yell at that person.
Yeah, because sometimes if somebody just tries to reframe them, it makes me want to throat punch somebody. I'll be happy that you have an ex-husband who gave you such beautiful kids. You know what? In this moment, F you.
Right.
You're not reframing how I feel in this moment. So sometimes it doesn't call for reframing because people assume that reframing will raise your vibration and get you into that happier place. But like you're saying, acknowledging this is how I feel. Because sometimes the reframe simply feels like you're telling me I shouldn't feel how I feel.
Right. And there's nothing high vibe about that at all.
Nope. And there's no sovereignty in that either, in my opinion.
No, definitely not. Because somebody else is telling you how to feel. I love it.
So,
super juicy.
High vibe and high energy are not necessarily the same thing, but they can both be in place at the same time. But you can also be high energy and low vibe. Most people assume you're high vibe if you're high energy. You can also be high.
Did you disappear? I think Naomi disappeared. We will wait for her to come back. Oh, no, she like fully disappeared. So I'm not sure where she was going with the you can also be part, but as she was saying that, I was thinking about being like low vibe and low energy, and I'm pretty sure that just takes your mood lower. Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, great.
So you were saying you can also be high and then you disappear.
Your vibe can be high and your energy high. Your vibe can be high and your energy can be low. And I think sometimes if we see people, I'm a Leo, so most of the time my energy's pretty up. I'm pretty upbeat. I'm pretty, yay, let's go, let's groove, let's get some things done. And I tend to be a little more on the extroverted side. Not always. I have my introvert moments. But people who are like slower, calmer, quieter, it can be easy to mistake that as low vibe, but it's not. Because so it's I think beneficial to remember that high vibe and high energy, low vibe, low energy aren't the same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, the 11-year-old has RBF. My kid has resting bitch face. He just does. He looks like he's mad, and he's not. He's like I'm driving him to school. I look in the back seat. He looks perplexed. I'm like, dude, are you okay? What's wrong? Nothing, Mom. It's just my face.
I love it.
All right. Have a great day. Okay, bye. But, like, if he's not actively smiling, he looks angry or distressed at the very least. That's just his face.
Well, and I think that there's been two instances recently that have come up that speak exactly to that. I know sometimes when I'm stuck in my head and I'm calculating a whole bunch of stuff, people will ask me the same thing. What's wrong? Oh, you look like you're mad. Like, huh? What? No, I was just stuck in my head and, had forgotten to tell my mouth to have the corners turn up. And I was talking to a guy recently. He's somebody local that we network with, and it makes a lot of sense because he's pretty logical, and I think he's in his head a lot. And a couple people have said, he always looks like he's either looking down on you, and it's like, well, that's because he's like 6'9" or something. I don't know, he's tall, and so technically he is, but metaphorically and whatnot. But so, or they're like, or that he's just angry or whatever. And I'm talking to him one day at a networking event. And he's like, oh, yeah, somebody was telling me, my friend was telling me recently, I need to smile more because I always look mad. He goes, I'm just always in my head. And it was like, wow, this is really a bizarre conversation because I've had other people talk to me about this person. For him to be just putting this out there in a conversation was interesting, gave me insight into him. He goes, so I've been practicing. So he does this smile, and the two of us who were talking to him, we just cracked up. He's like, I've been practicing, though, but I don't know. And we're like, yeah, no, don't do that.
Don't do that. No.
It was, so it's like when you've got a first grader who's smiling for their first grade pictures, and it looks so unnatural and uncomfortable. And that's what it was. It's like, oh, no. He goes, yeah, my friend told me I have resting bee face. You can say it. It's okay. So, here's these moments where we assume just because somebody's not a super smiley person that they're either angry or judgmental or low vibe or whatever. But that's our perception. That's not their reality.
Yep.
And someone else recently commented, they're like, some all y'all, you post on Facebook and you say you're all happy and your lives are all great, and you guys keep saying you're happy. You need to tell your face. And it's like, oh, I probably do need to smile more. I don't know. Because when I'm in my head, I don't think I do smile. I probably do have RBF. I don't trust people who smile all the time, though.
I look tired when I'm, like, deep in thought.
Oh.
Yeah. At my last job, my favorite librarian would always go, Lila, are you still not sleeping? And I'm like, oh, this is my thinking face. I'm good. So it'll either be like, yes, I really am exhausted because whatever kept me up, or no, this is my thinking face. I'm just deep in thought.
Yeah, I think I'd probably rather be asked if I was mad or if I was okay than, wow, you look tired.
Yeah. Well, I get that too. That came not from like, oh God, you look horrible, but it came out of they were used to me like being like quiet and sort of reserved because in case you can't tell, I like to talk. And so when I'm like quiet and reserved, then they ask me what was wrong and I would be like, oh, I just, I'm just pretty tired. And so if I'm like, if my face is not like all lit up like a Christmas tree and I'm not like extroverting all over the place, then I look tired.
I see.
Yeah.
So again, it's people's perceptions too, right?
Absolutely. Yep. No, I did have someone tell me I look like crap, and she was just like not like mincing any words about it. My allergies used to be really insane when I was in college. And so I worked a full-time job and I went to school at night. And so I like pushed myself to go to class one night because it was my favorite class, my favorite teacher. And Barb takes one look at me and goes, "You look like crap, go home." I was like, "I love, hate you, bye." Like, I should have just followed my own insight and emailed her and told her I was dying and stayed in the bed.
Right.
But yeah, those perceptions are a fun thing.
They are. They are. And I think the low vibe, high energy, low energy, RBF, all of that, when we see people, it's our perception of them is how we define who they are. It's not who they are that defines for us who they are.
Absolutely. I agree.
So you get to decide, are you high vibe?
No matter what your energy is like.
That's right, because maybe you're going to go take a nap like I am.
Me too. It's nap time for us. So that sounds like a good place to pause this conversation until next time.
Absolutely. So, yeah, if you guys have any comments, any questions, if you're like, yeah, I don't get this whole high vibe thing, but I don't want to be low vibe. How do I raise it and all of that? If you have questions, comments, insights, we'd love to hear from you.
And Naomi just gave us a future topic, raising your vibration. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye, all.